This is a call to a quiet revolution. A revolution not against capitalism, but for its reclamation. A revolution for a new model. CapitaCialism. Okay, done dreaming. We have the idea, we have the donor investor, we have the target, that industrial cleaning SME cleaning 2000. Now, how do we structure this to avoid creating a bureaucratic nightmare? And more importantly, how do we do it legally without anyone ending up in prison? Today, we roll out the blueprints. Welcome to the episode 4, titled The Treasure Map. But before opening the map, I need to clear something up. Following episode 3 about the leveraged buyout, LBO, some people told me, 7 years repaying debt with no cash for the association. That's long. How do we survive? Well, let me tell you, it's an excellent question, but unfortunately, it's based on a small misreading. First of all, in a well-structured deal, you never give 100% of the cash flow to the bank. That would be suicidal. What we always do is to calibrate the repayment, but that is what I used to call the financial cash. Where it gets interesting is that the company, well, it runs from day one. It needs arms, managers, and boots on the ground. Helen, your association doesn't wait for the check. It places its beneficiaries in the company immediately. It creates jobs, gives back a salary and dignity. The financial cash is indeed mostly for the bank for 7 years, but the social cash, that is immediate. It's value creation at 2 speeds.
All right, Art. On paper, I'm all in. I'll write the check. But I don't want the tax authorities knocking on our door. An association, or non-profit by definition, isn't allowed to make a profit, right?
That is the first misconception we need to destroy. Of course it can, but you have to do it with the right tools. Look at Belgium, for example. With the new Code of Companies and Associations, CSA, the lock has been removed. The law now says that an association can exercise an economic activity, including a lucrative one, on the same level as a multinational corporation. The only real difference is what happens to the profit. It doesn't go into the pockets of private shareholders. It must serve the mission. It's exactly the same logic in France, with the 1901 law through the concept of subsidiarization.
Oh, really? Interesting. I didn't see it like that.
Same here. I've always had the impression that making money was dirty. Now, you're telling me it's just a tool, right?
Absolutely, Hélène. For an association, profit is not a sin, it is armor. It is what makes you independent from grants that come or don't. So, step 1, the structure. Hélène, your NGO is not going to manage the factory itself. Your association is going to create a holding company or an SAS, and it will hold 100% of the shares. The SAS, that's the commando unit. It invoices, it collects VAT, it pays corporate tax, just like everyone else. No unfair competition. And the magic, it happens after tax.
The dividend.
Exactly. When the SAS pays its profit to its sole shareholder, the association, that money goes up to fund the school, the hospital, or the shelter. It's clean, it's legal, and it's what shareholder foundations like IKEA, Bosch, or the Worldwide Fund are already doing, so why not us?
Okay, the structure holds up. But me, the investor, what do I do? Do I donate or do I invest?
That is where CapitaCialism becomes an ecosystem. You basically have 2 doors. Door A, purity. You make a donation to the association, it buys 100% of the SME. Simple, radical. Door B, the hybrid. You split your check. Part as a donation to the association, tax deductible, and part as a direct investment in the company. You therefore become a co-shareholder with the association.
But if he's a shareholder, he's going to want all the cash.
No, we introduce the rule of patient capital. We cap your remuneration, Thomas. You touch a small return to be negotiated to cover your risk, but everything that exceeds that cap, that goes to Helen's mission.
Looking at it like that, it's the most profitable donation in history. I'm not burning my money. I'm putting it into an engine that will produce for the cause for 20 years. But I still have one concern. What guarantees that in 10 years a new director of the association won't divert the money to buy a villa?
Very good point. Trust, for me, cannot be decreed. It must be coded. That is where technology comes in. We aren't just going to draft paper statutes. We are going to use the blockchain.
Crypto? Really? Are we going to speculate?
Not at all. That is pure traceability with a distributed ledger. And we implement a smart contract. It's an unbreakable computer program. We can code the following rule. As soon as the commercial subsidiary generates €1 of dividend, it is automatically and instantly transferred to the social missions account. No one can intercept it. No gray areas. It is radical transparency. We make the public our witness.
That secures the money. But what about values? If, to repay the debt, the factory director starts firing people or polluting the river, that is not something I can accept.
You're putting your finger on risk number one, the conflict of interest. That is why we never leave the keys to a single person. We implement mixed governance.
Okay, and translation?
That means that on the company's board of directors, we have two mandatory seats. On one side, the business seat with oversight on performance, and on the other, the mission seat. That's Helene. She holds what we call a golden share or a social veto right.
Well, a veto, right?
Yes, that means you don't meddle in daily management. You let the CEO work. However, if the company makes a decision that violates the association's values, for example, using child labor or using toxic products, you have the power to block immediately. Business is at the service of the mission, not the reverse.
So, business manages the engine. The mission holds the steering wheel.
That is exactly it.
Okay, but who plays referee between Helene the purist and the CEO who needs to make numbers?
We need a rare profile, a chimera. You remember the CapitaCialism M&A manager? He's a hybrid. He has the cold blood of a finance shark to negotiate deals and talk to bankers. But he has the moral compass of a warrior monk. He is the bridge of trust. He is the hacker of the system. He speaks both languages, that of profit and that of the heart. And believe me, these profiles exist. They are women and men tired of having to choose between their careers and their values.
Oh wow, a shark at the service of dolphins.
Oh, yes. And everything we've just described there, that's scale one. One association, one SME. But now imagine if we change scale. Imagine a capital investment fund. We don't raise 100,000 euros for a project. We raise 50 million, 100 million to buy dozens of SMEs, garages, bakeries, logistics companies. We create a massive portfolio of assets. And the dividends, they don't go to Californian pension funds. They fund hospitals, schools, shelters. But this fund, it's just one option, one single track. There is still a whole ecosystem to invent. My vision, it's a world where 20%, 30%, even 40% at least of the global economy would be held by CapitaCialism. An economy that no longer serves only to accumulate, but runs to protect. This is not a utopia. The model already exists among our neighbors. The only thing missing to start it here is audacity. My name is Art, humanist entrepreneur, an initiator of CapitaCialism. And this was just the beginning of the quiet revolution. Until then, have a great holiday season. We return next year in 2026 to shift into high gear. If you want to be part of this silent revolution, which is mathematically inevitable, or if you are that famous hybrid profile, send a simple email to art.capicial@proton.me. It's our move.